6 women found dead in the Portland, Oregon area. Now investigators are working to see if the deaths are connected. The first was Kristen Smith. Her body was found on February 19th. Joanna Speaks' death has been ruled a homicide. Her body was found in early April. Bridget Webster vanished in early March, and her body was found in late April. Charity Perry's body was also found in late April, and Ashley Reel's body was found in May. The remains of an unidentified Native American woman were found in late April, but the Portland Police Bureau says her death is not believed to be suspicious. The Portland Police Bureau also said over the weekend that they have no reason to believe the deaths are connected, but law enforcement agencies are working together to determine whether or not they are, which they say is common practice. Some of the deaths have been labeled suspicious, but the cause of the deaths have not been revealed.
Loss without answers leaves emotions on high.
Uneasy, horrified, heartbroken.
Ariel Hamby's stepsister, Joanna Speaks, was an Oregon mother of 3.
She was an amazing sister, a wonderful daughter, a great, fantastic mother.
Speaks was found dead from a homicide in April, becoming one of 6 different women in the Portland metro area, all under 40, discovered dead within 100 miles of each other just weeks apart, leaving the Pacific Northwest in fear of a possible serial killer. It starts with 22-year-old Kristen Smith, found February 19th in southeast Portland. April 8th, Speaks is found on an abandoned property, dead from blunt force trauma to her neck and head. Weeks later, on April 24th, 2 women's bodies found on the same day. Charity Lynn Perry and an unidentified woman believed to have been Native American, who police say showed no signs of foul play. April 30th, 31-year-old Bridget Webster discovered on a rural road. And just 1 week later, 22-year-old Ashley Reel, last seen on surveillance at a restaurant, found dead in a heavily wooded area. The various police departments and agencies investigating now working together to see if there's a link between cases. What are they specifically looking for to see if they're all connected?
One of the main things that they're going to be looking at is the manner of death and the weapon. If that's consistent across all of these victims, that would be a huge point.
Portland police tonight pushing against speculation of a serial killer, saying, quote, "I cannot say we're not looking into it, but we do not want the public to jump to any conclusions. For families left behind with questions, answers can't come soon enough."
This isn't just about my sister anymore, even if it's not one person doing this.
Police initially reported their deaths all together on Friday, and that led some to believe that they were connected. Tonight, police say, based on their evidence so far, they don't believe these deaths are related to each other. Fox News' Jeffrey Lindblom tells us more.
Well, we're here near the location. 22-year-old Kristen Smith was found dead somewhere in this wooded area that you see here behind me after being labeled missing for months. She's one of the 6 women police say was found dead in the metro area over the last 4 months. Despite speculation online that their deaths are connected, police say the facts just don't support that claim right now. But regardless, family members of the victims do remain on edge.
There's so many answers that we don't have.
It's definitely alarming. To say the least, I guess.
The possibilities of who and how and what are endless. It's just awful.
The sister of Robin Speaks and Ariel Hamby was found dead near an abandoned barn in Ridgefield. Joanna Speaks is one of 6 women found dead in the Portland metro area over the last 4 months. Despite online speculation, police don't believe the deaths are connected. But Speaks' sisters say they feel a bond with the other victims' families.
And there's definitely similarities between our sister's case and theirs, and it makes it personal to us, whether it's related or not.
PPB is asking the public to be aware of the facts of the cases before spreading speculation they believe is leading to fear and anxiety in the community. Something Speaks' sisters say they do feel for their daughters and other women, knowing 6 unsolved cases in 4 months have occurred involving women.
It's terrifying.
I haven't decided if I'm going to let my kids out of the house ever again or not. So it is terrifying.
The two say they've been leaning on each other to get through this tough time and are now setting their sights on trying to help the other families involved, spreading the word and hoping someone may have helpful information.
Because somebody somewhere saw something. We're putting that energy into continuing the search for justice, hopefully for all of these girls.
And no more.
Portland police say they are only investigating 3 of the 6 deaths because the ones in Corbett and Polk and Clark counties are out of jurisdiction. They also say the death of an unidentified woman who was found near I-205 on April 24th is not being investigated as a homicide. These cases do remain open, and anyone with information is asked to come forward. You can find the right places to contact on our website, kptv.com. Reporting from Southeast Portland, I'm Jeffrey Lindblom for Fox 12 Oregon.
There's some consideration these cases are related. However, in my experience, law enforcement is typically ill prepared for this type of case. law enforcement's expertise is working cases that they do all the time, such as gangbang homicides or domestic violence cases. But if they get the fantasy motivated serial predator, oftentimes, even very experienced homicide investigators have never worked that type of case. And there are some subtleties that the offender may be leaving behind across multiple cases that are being missed. And so for law enforcement to come out and acknowledge that, okay, these cases are related, I think what you're going to see is, well, then they've made a DNA link, or they've made some sort of high-tech link and saying this is the same offender.
So it was interesting when you said the victimology, because that, I was talking to Robin Speaks about Joanna. She mentioned what we had just discussed, and that was the vulnerable population. Do police often keep these details to themselves and not even share amongst police? Meaning, if they find something odd, some sort of a signature when they discover these bodies, either whether it is through inexperience or whether they're guarded in trying to keep their cases to themselves, is there any kind of politics that play in terms of trying to get that sharing information together?
There's always politics. And, in this day and age, you hope that across jurisdictions, politics don't come into play, but they do. But it's also, they're looking at their cases individually, the cases that are within their jurisdiction. And there may be details that are significant to that case that only the killer would know. And if they are lacking that identifying DNA evidence or other evidence, they need to withhold that evidence. And what I've seen is that typically law enforcement will withhold that evidence from other investigating agencies out of fear that there will be a leak, especially if the media starts gravitating and starts focusing in on the case. And this could hamper the investigation. If they are seeing some unusual behaviors, that would be a signature, a behavioral signature that, let's say, a profiler would go, yes, you are dealing with a fantasy motivated offender. And they're keeping that away from other agencies where they could establish a link, then that would hamper the investigation. That's where there has to be trust between these agencies in order to be able to share that information. But mind you, they possibly can't go public with that information because they need it in order to prove the case.
No, that makes perfect sense. Although my anxiety starts peaking when I think about a certain tool that might have been used that they want to keep for the prosecution because it's something only the killer will know. And in doing so, in keeping that, that information doesn't get out, and he gets to kill again. So I'm always mindful that sharing can stop a predator, but it can also stop a prosecution. So that's got to be a really bad devil's bargain. Let me ask you about the FBI. When and how might they become involved? Does one of these agencies need to reach out? Does the FBI sort of need to, take a sniff and see the national news and say, look at that, I think we need to maybe, take a trip? How does it work?
No, the FBI right now with the cases, the way I understand them, the FBI does not have jurisdiction. So this would require the local agencies asking the FBI for assistance. And the FBI can come in with resources. They can provide agents, they can provide technology, they can provide financial resources in order to help the investigation. But the local agencies, by and large, are going to be running the investigation. In this type of case where you have potentially a series, from my vantage point, I think the best FBI resource that needs to be consulted are behavioral analysts and individuals like myself who have experience with crime scene reconstruction and behavioral analysis to look at all 6 of these cases and see, are there those subtle indicators that would indicate you've got a singular offender at work? Because again, generally, the local agencies do not have the expertise in evaluating the crime scenes, the physical evidence, the violence done to these victims to notice predatory behavior.
I could talk to you for hours. I have 10 seconds left, though, but I've got to ask you. When I introduce you, as I always do, Paul Holes, I say he's a retired cold case investigator with the Contra Costa Sheriff's Office. Would you unretire for something like this?
I would absolutely work this type of case, and I am continuing to consult with law enforcement across the nation on similar cases.
It's exactly what I wanted to hear, so we will call you back. Paul Holes, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for watching. So Joanna Speaks was the second body that was found on April 8th, and I'm joined now by her sister, Robin Speaks. Robin, I'm so sorry that we're speaking under these circumstances, and my condolences to you and to your family. This has just got to be a heartbreaking time for you, while at the same time very confounding. Are the police being better with you in terms of sharing information? Like, do you know more than, say, the media is getting?
I mean, the police are being very helpful for us or with us on my sister's case. I don't know that it's anything different than the media is getting, but I do know that we are the only family with, a cause of death for our sister. The other families don't have that yet, unfortunately. So we do. Do you
feel as though the authorities are taking seriously the possibility of a serial killer targeting your sister and the others?
I honestly don't know how serious things are being taken as far as that goes. I do think that the police are working their individual cases seriously. And I think that they are trying to make sure that, they keep the public from being too freaked out about a serial killer. But either way, women are dying, and now, the numbers are just rising.
Sometimes, Robin, families who are involved in situations like this, they launch sort of a parallel effort, either with private investigators or sort of a group think tank, just to try to, find out their own information and feed law enforcement who may be understaffed or may not necessarily believe these are connected. Have you and your family mounted any kind of an effort like that, or do you feel as though you have what you need from the police?
Oh, we've absolutely done that this entire time. We have spoken to everybody we can. We've got, boots on the ground and made flyers. We are speaking with or reaching out to the families of the other women. We've gotten a lot of tips from the community just by talking to the news outlets and stuff. And we've been feeding everything that we get to the detectives so that nothing goes, unseen or unheard as far as any of that kind of information goes.
Tell me a little bit about your sister, Joanna, and when you're thinking about those details, anything that might lead to some kind of a clue as to why she might have been targeted, where she might have been targeted, and how she might have been targeted.
Well, she was fun and excited about life, and she was just a great person to be around. In recent years, she was struggling with addiction and homelessness, and that's a very vulnerable demographic in general. And I think that may play a part in, why things happen the way that they did.
Do you think any of the others share some of the same attributes? Have police let on that might be something that they're seeing as well in terms of pattern?
The police have not said anything, to us necessarily about that. We do know that some of the other girls do also, have that kind of demographic, and they're also there with that. So,
right. And as you said, Robin, that's a vulnerable, right? That's a vulnerable population that can often be targeted. What would you like people to remember about your sister?
That she was fun, that she was a beautiful person inside and out. She wanted to make everybody laugh, and she really, really just loved hard.
Robin Speaks, Joanna's sister. Thank you so much, and keep us posted.